Welcome, everybody, and those that jumped on right at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Stephanie Brown here from Intelligent Construction Opportunities. We have a really exciting guest today from Merlin. They're doing some really cool niche things, and our guest, KS or Kumar, I think he prefers KS.
Yeah, I do.
We'll be talking to him and sorting through what they're doing, he and his partners. So again, I'm Stephanie Brown from Intelligent Construction Opportunities. I founded Intelligent Construction Opportunities to be able to enable sessions just like this, where I'm trying to bridge the gap between the software developer for construction professionals and the construction professionals themselves, to give them a much clearer path to understanding what tech is and what it can do for them specifically. So on that note, I want to introduce Kumar a little more formally. Kumar, KS, I'm going to keep calling him KS. I guess I'll stick with that today. KS is a product builder who has developed innovative software products within the fintech sector. So that's his background in the finance. His expertise lies in building solutions from the ground up that cater to specific needs of specific customer niches. Kumar has a strategic partnership with his sister, Sneha, and she is the expert in construction technology, supply chain, and operations. And together at Merlin, they are working on a platform that they feel, and I feel after having seen some of it, will revolutionize the construction industry and redefine from both the perspective of software development and construction, and specifically the audience of custom home builders. So again, welcome, KS. So glad to have you.
Thank you, Stephanie, and so glad to be on the show.
Very glad to have you. We're going to get into some a little high level, some a little specific. But as people that have tuned into my previous live streams, they know that I like to wing it a little bit. And the audience, we would, like you to jump in and ask questions. If there's custom home builders that have joined in, or either on the software side, product builders, please feel free to ask your questions, and we are going to do our best to make sure they get answered. So, KS, let's start with what is your journey? Like, we talked a little bit about the fintech. What is your journey, and how did you land in construction and start working with Sneha and feel that, you had something to offer?
Sure. So, so I studied computer science. And for the last 10 years, I've built multiple products in the fintech domain across financial management, accounting, bookkeeping, all of that kind of stuff. And so I'm a kind of an expert in that domain. And Sneha, of course, as you know, is she's consulted with construction companies for so long. So for the last 2 years, we kept exchanging ideas on what's new, what's happening. And a recurring theme that kind of kept coming was, and this is what I felt, was how construction companies operated and ran their back-end processes, especially around accounting, bookkeeping, budgeting, that kind of stuff. And I felt that with my background in fintech and Sneha's background in construction, we were uniquely placed to kind of build an end-to-end platform that brought the entire financial operations and the financial snapshot of a company in one place. And I also realized that we could leverage all of the recent advances in AI to automate a ton of stuff. So it just made sense, and it kept coming. So that's why we started Merlin.
So give me an example then. So you say you started out and you were working in fintech. I want to share with the audience a little bit about perhaps what you developed in that realm, and then on an add-on on that, I'd like to find out from you, what kind of specifics made you drill down, and what do you feel is making Merlin unique to the marketplace?
Sure. So my background in fintech has been I've built like a couple of things, starting from software for companies to like personal finance management app for B2C customers. So I've built payment processors. I've also built like a personal finance management app that tells you what's the status of your personal finances and how are you doing on a personal basis. That's basically my background in fintech. But to the question of why Merlin and what's it kind of doing that's new. If you would have been following all of the recent advances in AI, you would have seen how kind of Chat GPT just came up, and it just is a monumental shift in the way the world operates right now. And what we realized was we could leverage this AI, all of these recent advances, to automate a ton of stuff. So a lot of things. So let me give you an example, right? The first few sectors that would be disrupted by all of these recent advances are sectors like, lawyers, accountants. You would also see a lot of changes in the way consulting works. And I realized that we could build a lot of solutions using and leveraging this AI to automate processes for GCs and construction companies. And that was our first kind of idea and our MVP to kind of see what we could do for GCs early on. And that was the seed that kind of helped us move along and start building this product.
Now, did with the help of ChatGPT, were you able to sort of upright your processes in a more informed way, or what has really been the game changer for you as a developer of software using ChatGPT that's ultimately going to help the outcomes, the clear outcomes for construction?
So ChatGPT is the interface on which you ask questions and get answers, but it is really powered by AI models in the background. And these models are now able to make sense out of various things. So for instance, if you have a line item in an invoice and you have a line item in your budget, so a few years back, it was very difficult for a model to be able to link something from your invoice to a line item in your budget. But right now, with all of the training that's available, we are able to automate that piece. So our AI model can pick up something from your invoice, and it can understand that that specific line item maps to a specific line item on your budget, and it can basically run the entire accounts payables processes in one go without any manual intervention. That makes sense. So that has been kind of the largest shift in the recent past. Yeah.
So are you, and what makes Merlin Merlin? So you call your product Merlin. Can you tell us, let's do a little deeper dive. I love that idea that obviously you're mapping to the outcome on the invoice, but tell us how Merlin is actually making that transformation happen once ChatGPT is, sort of figured out that alignment.
So, as I said, we are not using ChatGPT. We are using models that we have trained. I use the ChatGPT analogy because that is something that we have all been exposed to understand kind of how far along AI has come in. But our models are trained on financial data. Our models understand invoices very well. Our models understand cost codes very well. So you can think of it as an entity that it has the intelligence to understand items that line an invoice and items that line a budget, and just has the sense to do all of the mapping. But I can show you in terms of, by a product demo as to what we do.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Should I jump right into the product?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
And again, if anyone in the audience has, direct questions or indirect questions as they concern AI, please let us know, because KS is the man.
Yeah. So let's focus on this finance section over here. We have a couple of ancillary things going on these tabs. But by the way, this is the dashboard, and this is the demo of what you see. So this here is a project selector. So we'll go ahead and select LS Drive, and let's just start by taking a look at the budget. Right. So this is a budget for a custom home build. You can see a couple of items on the top left. So the loan amount, the owner's contribution, a couple of things like that. And this is a live running budget. So you know what's being spent, what's remaining, what's the total estimated, and so on and so forth. Underneath over here, you see all of the codes and the descriptions, right? So we have about 72 codes that lie over here. And against each of these codes, you can also see a brief of how much have you spent. So over here you can see the overages, what's available, what's not, how much have you spent, how much have you drawn in, that kind of stuff. With that, let's get into the APTs. Right. So at the top here, you see what's the current status of your invoicing and your accounts payables. So you know what's been requested so far, you know what has been approved, and you know what has been paid. Uh, each of these items over here are individual invoices. Now we have a funny way of like getting invoices from you. What we've seen is most invoices appear in an inbox. So your subs raise an invoice and they email it to you most often. So you can simply connect your inbox. So if it's a Gmail, you can click on this button and it will connect your Gmail as a workflow over here. And what it does is it basically gives us the ability to read your inbox. So our AI engine goes through your inbox and it scans items and it looks for invoices automatically. So every time an invoice comes in, it will automatically pull it over here. You don't have to worry about finding and tagging it and just looking for the invoice and uploading it over here. So that's how invoices come to our system. And as soon as you get an invoice, let's take a look at one, right? So let's take a look at an invoice that's being paid, right? Right. So you have an invoice over here, right? So as you can see, this is an invoice for the land purchase. The vendor name's been picked, the amount has been picked, the due date has been picked, and it has automatically categorized it against land, which is in your budget piece, right? So inside budget, we have a line item called land, and it knows that a land purchase was a description in your invoice, and it has automatically tagged it against the right category. And not just that, it has picked up the right amount as well. So all you need to do is click on approve. And once you approve an invoice, it basically appears over this section and you can see a tag that says, okay, this invoice has been approved. And all you need to do is mark an invoice as paid. So right now we don't have a method of payment integrated in here, but we are planning on building it. But let's say you paid it via a check. You simply have to give it a check number and click on submit. And as soon as you click on submit, it flows into your paid section and your budget is, it moves automatically. So the line item is automatically approved and you don't have to worry about updating your budget every now and then.
Okay, I've got 3 questions that are just burning. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've shown us an example of an invoice. So I'd first of all like to know, how do you onboard to get that that workflow and that invoice process? And then the tag on to that was what first appeared to me when you've got the descriptions in here. Is this coming from an external catalog, or how are you aligning what is actually happening in somebody that's not using Merlin right now to upload their specific things so that they are mapping to your process?
Right. So to answer your first question as to how we get the invoices into the system, I'm not able to share the screen because it opens a pop-up. But essentially, you can connect your inbox, your Google inbox or your Outlook inbox, or whatever you use as an email center, to our systems. So what it does is it opens a pipe between your email provider and our systems, Merlin. And then our AI engine goes through your inbox. And every time an invoice presents itself inside your inbox, it is able to pull it into Merlin.
It has a unique identifier, I would imagine, so that it's recognizing that it's an invoice? Or
yes,
are you pushing
it recognizes that. No, it recognizes that it's an invoice because it's been trained as a model. It's been trained to understand what invoices look like. So it goes through your inbox, it looks for documents like PDFs, and the AI model understands that, okay, this PDF is an invoice, so let me basically pull that into Merlin.
Okay.
And this has an accuracy of over 98%, which practically for our users has been like every single time.
And this doesn't matter whether you're in Outlook or your Gmail or, I can't imagine what other email servers are more common, but.
The two most common that we get is Outlook and Gmail.
Yeah.
So those two integrations we have. If you have your own server running, or if you have, let's say, Hotmail or anything else, we can still write customizations. It's a question of what provider do you use, and it's an easy integration, so we can do that.
Good. But it sounds to me like part of the AI model that Merlin has come up with. Would you say that is a systemic feature of Merlin, that Merlin speaks to your inbox?
I would not call speaking to your inbox a systemic feature, but the ability to identify invoices from an inbox is really powerful, because you get tons of documents
Right.
inside your inbox, right? And you don't really know what is where, and which is what. So having a bot that essentially does the groundwork of picking up the invoice and fetching it and putting it into a centralized system is really powerful, because what we've seen is a lot of times people spend you always have to keep going back and forth into finding the right invoice, and you have so many invoices from the same subcontractor as well, so it's some work you know
So if we took like the topic of budgeting, so I'm trying to sort of
Yeah.
get to the core of some of the systemic features. If we took budgeting as for example, can you show us a certain kind of workflow where these models have been trained to help that process?
So this process on the budgeting part is not done by our models right now. What we do is when we onboard a GC, we have templates, right? So for instance, in this case, there's about 72 cost codes. And what we've done is that we've compiled a list of cost codes for custom home builds. So when you create a new project, it will automatically come up with a description and a code. You can edit the code and you can put in the right amounts against the estimated, and then you can close the budget.
Okay.
Or if you have an Excel that you use typically in your projects, we can use that on our onboarding to get that done as a template once and for all.
So let's get a little bit
Also,
into the custom home builder. So why did
yeah.
you land on a custom home builder as your, I'll say, your ideal client?
Yeah. So this was funny because we did a lot of interviews, and Sneha's expertise is with a lot of enterprise clients, right? People who do like lots of commercial construction. But we started speaking with a lot of custom home builders, and what we realized, and owners representatives as well. And what we realized was that a lot of them operate on very, very small, nimble teams, right? They don't have the luxury of having like a 20-member, 50-member team doing a lot of the stuff. And we also saw that a lot of times they engaged people on either an hourly basis, where they got some ad hoc person to come and do the accounting for them on an hourly rate. A lot of times we found that they got friends and family members to do this kind of stuff as well. This is not rocket science, right? You just need to sit on an Excel sheet and do a repetitive kind of work again and again. Sometimes we also saw that for instance, the lady at the front desk was handling everything from accounting to payroll to taxes and everything else in between, and time cards and whatnot. So we realized that one was that the lack of manpower to do this kind of stuff, and the other was the ability to find specialists to do all of the accounting and back office pieces. And we saw that there was a gap here, so we realized that AI would kind of bridge this gap in a very beautiful way, right? So you don't need people, and our AI would be trained enough to do the kind of work that a specialist can do.
So
that
when
was
we
the
talk
initial.
about home builders, are you talking about, home builders? What size of home builder? I mean, I love the idea of the accounting background, and that you're closing in on the gap, so you don't have to have, I guess, a team of, of accountants, for example. So what's
Yeah,
the ideal
yeah.
profile size?
So the ideal profile size would be anyone who's doing, let's say, about 8 to 10 projects a year, each with an annual budgeting revenue of about, let's say, $5 to $10 million or anything under that. And typically, where you have like a smallish team, where you run like a team of 5 to 10 people, where the accounting function is either just one person or 1 to 3 people in total. That makes sense.
Good. That's very helpful information. I see
Yeah.
that Sneha
Stephanie,
has joined us. She's saying,
hey,
hey,
Sneha.
there she is. Yeah, the other thing that was dawning on me as you were showing pieces of this was, where do you get these descriptions from? I see that they're hyperlinked.
Oh yeah. So these descriptions here, you can enter each of these. So I did not actually dive into what these pieces do. So let me show you what happens over here. So let's say we get into the drive here, right? So we've not just done the budgeting piece, but within the budgeting piece, you can run your entire bid package as well. So, okay, this here already has a bid. So this is a test bid that I created for myself. But if you click on the bid, you can see the kind of line items that are there, and you can run your entire bid package system from here. And not just that, you can keep having these back and forth conversations with your subs using our interface. Um, so that's one, which is basically getting the bid packages in. Let me show you something else. We were on highway.
And I think it's fair to say for our audience that we are in a demo environment. Is that fair?
That's correct. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
a demo environment. Yeah. So let's say you have a driveway and you want to add items. So you can simply add items over here. You can add price estimates. You can add like an actual cost. You can also write who's supposed to buy this. So if you know that the contractor is going to be buying it, if the client's going to be buying it, or you are supposed to buy it, you can mention that. You can mention who's ordered it. So this kind of becomes your center for materials, bids, draws, invoices on a per line item, per cost code basis. So if you simply want to know what's happening with the driveway, you can arrive at this section and see everything. And this here is, of course, who is the contractor that you finalized, or the subcontractor who will be doing this specific piece, that kind of stuff. And this budget here is at the top. You can see that there's nothing that's been invoiced over here. So that's the kind of numbers that you see over here, if that makes sense.
So who would actually have the most reins, would you say, in terms of, once, Merlin is a decision that's been taken and somebody wants to use and apply it, who is actually the main administrator, do you find?
So right now it would be the GC themselves, or whoever is running the financial controller function. So
either or both?
Either or. You could have both of them. So we've had cases wherein we've onboarded more than one team member to be doing and running these functions. So yeah, essentially it could be both of them.
It could be both of them. Okay. And obviously it's permissioned otherwise. Would you give access to any other role for any reason?
So we do have a case wherein if you want your subcontractors to be seeing specific views, they can come and see it. So I just showed you the view over here for a driveway where a subcontractor submits their bid package. So they can essentially come and see specific views like this, but you can control it. So you can put an access control on who sees what.
Okay, it's all permissioned access. It seems to be, the rule across the board for any software platform.
I'd like to add to that.
Sure.
We have something known as a magic link. So we know that subcontractors hate being onboarded on new software. So what we've done is, this piece, for instance, you don't need to get them to log in and do the entire thing of onboarding a subcontractor. If you just give us their email, we will send them a magic link using which they can run their workflows and see the things that they're supposed to do. So no need to kind of re-educate your subcontractor on new software and that kind of stuff.
Very good. I like it.
In fact, yeah. In fact, even with the accounts payable piece, what we have seen is that typically with the large software, you not only need to onboard like your clients, but you have to onboard your subcontractors as well. But since this integrates with your inbox, and we are able to understand what an invoice is, it doesn't matter what's the format that your subcontractor is sending you the invoice in. They could use any invoice generator on the internet, and we would be able to parse it and make sense out of it just like a normal controller does. So we are truly platform agnostic in that sense.
So because Intelligent Construction Opportunities is in the business of standing between the vendor, I'll say, and the construction professional, can you get into some details about the onboarding process and the training process? What is involved from your perspective as far as Merlin's concerned?
So as you can see from the workflows, we need a couple of things. One is we want to understand the array of projects that you do. Do you do single family residence? What are the various types of construction that you as a GC do? Then we would love to learn the kind of cost codes that you have in your system. And that, of course, depends on the kind of construction that you're doing. We'd like to know, if possible, who are the subcontractors that you are working with if you want to run the bid packages. And the last thing that we would need from you is an integration with your email provider, right? So really, our onboarding is just a few days at max. It doesn't take like months and months of installation and customization. The fees that you see here, you can get onboarded with it in just a matter of like 2 to 3 days if you provide us all of the material upfront. And the training wise, I think the product is fairly self-explanatory is what we've seen, but from our early feedback that we've received from our users, it's not taking them a lot to kind of navigate and find their way around things, if that makes sense.
But what do you do to support them? Because I find in my own business that sometimes construction professionals just haven't had the life experience where they're interfacing with software. So therefore, navigation is a thing.
Yeah. So Stephanie, thank you for that question. And we are right here at the rightmost bottom, right? We are always live, always available. You just need to send us a question, or if you're stuck with something, you just need to text us over here, and we're available. We'll answer you within 15 minutes. That is our SLA. And you have me, Sneha. We are the co-founders and builders of the product. We are available to you on phone call, email, 24/7, whenever you want to talk to us, even if it's not about the product. Even if you have like some feedback, if you're not happy with the way things are working, or if you share anything at all, we're available all the time. So
that is our support. You're lonely in the middle of the night and you just need somebody to talk to. Just open up Merlin and.
Yes, 100%. There's a chat button at the bottom right. Please use it.
Okay. So, all right. So I think those are, substantial, sort of jumping off points to understand what you're trying to do here and how you're accomplishing it. I want you to sort of go back to the dashboard for a minute and just sort of give a quick overview of why you've chosen what's on the dashboard. Just overview.
So on the left here, you see on a per project basis. So you can, assuming that you're running more than a few projects, you can just select the one that is relevant and just see the screen. On the top here, we realize that there are two important things. One is, of course, if there is a loan associated with a given project, and whatever is the owner's contribution. And this thermometer kind of view is super important because it kind of gives you in a glimpse, in one shot, you can understand how far off you are in terms of like the budget. And I think the visual element was like super important for us, because then that's how it kind of triggers an emotional response, so you understand where things are really. And on the top, you can also see, what's the total estimated, what's the spend. You can see the percentages. So we've chosen remaining. We've not chosen spend as a percentage. Spend is at the top. And then you have like your overages and your unpaid bills and that kind of stuff at the top over here. We eventually, like in the next few months, we will be able to connect your bank accounts. I mean the loan provider's bank accounts. So all of these numbers will become even more live. So right now it's dependent on the invoice coming in, but it will be more live as it goes. It will become more real time, but this is real time as of now. And at the bottom here, we have kind of the same philosophy is for every line item, we want to treat it like a budget and we want to show how you kind of performed on a single line item. And this eventually will be used for us to build a feedback loop of analytics where we can tell you that, hey, you know what, in the last 3 projects, you overspent on numbers. So maybe that's something that you should look at, right? Or these are the different kind of projects that you do. So you're better at running remodeling homes than, let's say, doing custom homes. Or even with custom homes, you can say that, hey, your most profitable projects are single family residences, that kind of stuff. So the goal is to basically get all of this data and move in that direction. to expose these kind of insights to our builders.
For sure. And using the color coding is pretty obvious and apparent what is going right, what is going wrong. So as far as integrations are concerned, what do you feel are, like, I'm speaking to our audience now who may be looking for a more holistic solution from the custom building perspective. What are the more common integrations that you feel Merlin needs and that, more importantly, the customer would want?
Yeah. So we've realized that a lot of customers use QuickBooks for the company level accounting and company level P&L. So we've written a QuickBooks integration, which will go live in the next week. So that's something that will appear on the dashboard as well. And then it's a two-way sync, meaning that it will take all of your data and put it into QuickBooks. If you put anything into QuickBooks, it will be able to import it back into Merlin as well. And you can simply forget about having to input any data into QuickBooks. So that is one. The other thing that we'd like to do is build more on the tax function, but that's not from an integration standpoint. From an integration standpoint, the other thing that we realized is that if you do run any project scheduling system or any project management system, let's say your Builder Trends and the Procore's of the world, that is something that we could integrate with as well. Because what we are planning on doing is we want to tie your payments to your schedule. So whatever is your project schedule should be basically able to tie into your payment schedule as well.
I see you've darkened in the background. I don't know if you lost light or what has happened, but I don't know. Anyways, it's not a huge problem. There you are. There you are. All right.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's
yeah,
light.
that's the office boy.
Okay.
I just switched it off.
That's very flexible on your part. I'm very impressed. I wasn't sure how you could respond to that.
Yeah, thank you.
That's terrific about the integrations, and I'm glad you called out Builder Trend and Procore, because you never know when software is involved, whether you're scaling up or you're scaling down or you're scaling to the side. So that's a pretty important part of it all. So I just want to let's sort of step away from your screen for a minute. I want to sort of talk a little bit about what you think in the bigger picture. So as far as labor shortages are concerned, and yes, AI and the ramifications of training models. And we all know that AI feeds on itself. So, developers like yourself that have already got models, where do you see specifically Merlin going in the future, and I guess more importantly, your place in construction?
Yeah, so let me take that. So let me answer that with an analogy. Okay, so let's go back a little bit in the past. Before electronic calculators came in, accountants were using pen and paper to do all of their calculations, right? So you'd have like these array of accountants who were sitting on a single shop floor and just running their calculations to do all of the stuff. But ever since you got electronic calculators, all of these low-lying tasks that were repetitive in nature and that came in a very formula packaged manner could be automated using these calculators, right? And so your accountants move from using their brain cycles to do these calculations to doing more strategic stuff, right? And what we are going to be to the construction world is basically we are going to be the kind of what calculators were to accountants or are to accountants, we are going to be that to the construction world. So essentially, instead of so for instance, today, what you try to answer as an accountant is, what project is this for? What is the cost code? Is this project approved? Is the line item correct? All of those kind of questions. We want to make sure that we take away all of those questions and answer them meaningfully using our AI models, so that you as a financial controller or a CEO can focus on things like, are my projects profitable? What is my forecast? Where is this project going? What are the things that I need to be doing to run more projects and get more profitable eventually? So that's where it's all heading.
So if I'm hearing you right, I mean, you're talking about a sort of I'll call it a process where if Merlin is automating these processes, it's going to allow you to be able to free up that accountant to focus on what I'm going to call is sort of the full circle of historical data, meaning that because you from previous projects, you've got whatever data points you have, they can then keep tightening up on whether it's a material supplier, whatever it is, to perhaps widen those margins as time goes on.
So the widening the margins and the analytics piece is, it's obvious it's going to happen anyways. I think just being able to bring all of your project pieces, information from your materials piece, from your projects piece, from your scheduling pieces, and then integrating them to like keep building on the AI model is like super critical. And that's something that would make it even more powerful in the future.
Okay. All right. Well, I think, I think this has been a great first kick at the can, and really starting to open up the door into Merlin's power. And I think even more importantly, KS, how you and Sneha think as leaders, and what you're trying to enable. I like the fact that you've niched down. As I always say, find the money and follow it. And I think that, it's no joke to say that construction in particular has so many challenges, not the least of which is the obvious and everyone knows, which is the labor shortage, or however you want to coin that.
Yeah.
But
anyways, at the moment in the US, the US industry is short of like 100,000 construction accountants. So even finding specialized labor to do all of this kind of stuff is not easy at all.
So even finding accountants is a shortage. It's not just even the site, right? So
yeah, you could go to Indeed and find like 6,000 construction accountant jobs at the moment. Like it's live right now.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking your time, KS. People may not know this, but you are not in the US at the moment. So it is evening time for you. And again, great that you were able to make yourself come back into the light. I thought, okay, I don't know, maybe it's nighty night.
Sorry for the hiccup.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that Sneha was able to join us. Thank you, Sneha and KS, again for making this happen today. We really appreciate the time that you've taken with us, even leading up to today, so that we could, prepare and understand each other a little bit. And we certainly hope to be doing more of this in the future. So we really appreciate it. I want to give a quick call out to Sarah Williams. Thank you very much, Sarah. We appreciate you jumping on and, absorbing some of this information in our conversation today. And again, I say to the audience, if anybody has any questions of Merlin or of intelligent construction opportunities, you can certainly find me at info@intelops.com. And KS, tell them where they can find you. And
yes. Yeah, you can find me at ks@merlinai.co. I just put it on the chat. Let me put it on the comments as well.
Yeah, sure.
Sneha, if you're there, can you just type in? I can't find the place to put in my email address. It's ks@merlinai.co.
At the great, you know what I'll do for people that were registered? I will put this out, your email out to them right after this. I'll put it in the thread where the invitation was, where the recording will be held, so people will know how to contact you. Okay.
Okay.
And on that note, I am going to just do one other thing, and that is put across, what intelligent construction opportunities does. We work with companies like Merlin to help source, select, and implement that technology. So you can contact us, as I said, at info@intelops.com for more information. And on that, let me see with 1 second here if I can. Okay. All right. We will call that a wrap. Again, I want to thank KS for his time, Sneha for the preparation behind the scenes, and here we go.